If you had one BTC and wanted to trade it for ETH, how would you go about doing that? Most people would use a centralized exchange like Binance or Coinbase to make the swap. Barf. It's been 15 years since Bitcoin's inception, and we still don't have a standard alternative of swapping between tokens that live on different blockchains fully on chain. The standard is still centralized entities, which not only require KYC, they also take hours or even days to complete. But it also makes you give up custody of your assets, something that goes completely against the promise of blockchain. Not to mention the billions of dollars that exchanges, FTX, Mt. Gox, etc., have lost on behalf of their customers over the years. Now, here at Milk Road, we're all about bringing people on chain. So today, we're going to talk about perhaps one of the most important protocols in crypto, THORchain, and very excited to welcome to the podcast JP Thor. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name. You can do it for us. One of the founders of THORchain. JP, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. It's good to be here. I'd love to change that misconception, though.
That's what today's episode is all about. So let's put it over to you in your own words. What is THORchain, and why did you and a whole crew of on-chain Anons start it?
THORchain is a decentralized exchange. It allows you to swap Bitcoin to ETH in a single transaction with no counterparty, just simply a protocol. And what you began this recording with, your statement, your question, was true in 2018 when we looked at the problem and we realized there was a need for a protocol that could allow you to simply do exactly that, swap Bitcoin to ETH in one transaction. And we looked at the alternatives, we looked at what was already out there, which was nothing. There were kind of like these pseudo decentralized exchanges on Ethereum already. Examples were like DEX, an older exchange, like a limit order book. You had to deposit your ETH into the smart contract, and then you would update this off-chain database on your quotes and your buys and sells, and then withdraw. DEX was ultimately not decentralized and was shut down, and the founder had to pay a big fine for masquerading as decentralized when it wasn't. The only other alternative in wallets were these things called atomic swaps. So you could theoretically sign a transaction using a convoluted scripting, on-chain scripts, with a counterparty, being the person you wanted to trade with. And after, I'm not even joking, 8 separate steps between you and your counterparty where you sign, reveal, he signs, reveal something, you sign back, reveal something, he signs it, reveal something. 8 separate steps you would swap your exchange, your tokens like Bitcoin to Litecoin. And the third alternative was to use a centralized swapping service. So you would put your Bitcoin into someone's exchange, they would swap it to ETH using a market price that they would decide on and a fee that they would decide on in a closed source method, and then give you some ETH back. And that third method still exists today. It's Chain Jelly, the old Shapeshift, etc. But that was inherently fraught with capture. You could make a transaction and it didn't meet the screening requirements. That transaction could be trapped, etc. So we looked at it and said, hey, what is the perfect solution? And this was in 2018 and it didn't exist. And we thought, well, it's not going to be taking a limit order book system, which is a hangover from the legacy financial system. And I'll tell you why. In traditional finance, you have things called shares, and shares certificates that are essentially a sovereign claim to the share capital of a company. But you can't trade those pieces of paper. So instead, you give your pieces of paper to like a broker or some other holding firm, and they would issue IOUs. And those IOUs were typically not divisible by 1, and they would be posted by a broker on a limit order book, centralized limit order book, and you would have to the broker or the market maker would typically lay the book both sides, buy and sell orders to generate liquidity around this asset, and then you would post your buy and sells minus fees. The broker would see your orders coming in, probably front run you, bump up the price a little bit just before executing trades, yada, 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 right? And so people taking these centralized limit order book legacy systems and putting them on chain. And I looked at them and go, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard, because it naturally centralizes the infrastructure around it, because you're posting it to basically your order books want to be as fast as possible located in a central location and processed by a central actor. And an example of this was Binance Chain DEX, which was launched in 2019. And Binance Chain took Cosmos SDK, which is basically a state machine, and it's built. Cosmos SDK wants to live at around 6 seconds per block. That's its sweet spot. It's built on Tendermint. It has to populate blocks all around the world with nodes. It wants to do this with 100 to 200 nodes, and it's designed to do it with a Tendermint gossiping state machine, so where the blocks are produced by validators and gossip around the world, and the other validators around the world receive the blocks, check it for the validity, and 6 seconds later, everyone agrees, and then everyone moves on to the next block. So that works about 6 to 10 seconds. It's a sweet spot there. Whereas Binance Chain took that state machine software. This is in early 2018, and they dialed it up to the max, and they made it like 300 millisecond block times, right? And so there's no way you can run a network. And I looked at this, seeing what they're doing in 2018. I was like, what is going on? Do people not get it? And they dialed it up to 300 milliseconds. And there's no way you can run a network, a state machine network around the world with 200 validators with 300 millisecond block times. Like, it's like literally blocks go ding, ding. It's no way. You can't propagate those blocks fast enough, and you're going to generate so much state, because most of the block headers will just become the weight of the chain. The chain is just going to accumulate so rapidly in state. It's silly. Anyway, so they did it. And guess what's being shut down next week? Binance Chain, because it accumulated something like terabytes upon terabytes of state over the last few years. It was so centralized because they had to run like 6 validators, max 6, to support 300 millisecond. The order book design, they put a lot of effort into it, but it's just silly. Like, why would you put an order book on chain? Make it your main product. No, anyway, that was not the solution. And in 2018, when we look at the problem, the solution is a semi-slow blockchain with liquidity pools. When the concept was, you simply posted your order, your transaction, the protocol would take your Bitcoin, swap it at across the pool. So the pool needed to have liquidity. It needed to have 2 assets, and it would produce on the other side either an interim asset or the final asset you wanted. If it was the interim asset, it would take that interim asset and swap that to another pool, which contained the interim asset and the final asset. So you see what I'm saying? It's like 2 fruit baskets. One's got apples and bananas, and the other's got bananas and pears. And you want to swap from apples to pears. And so you put your apple in the first fruit basket, out pops bananas, and that banana moves to the next fruit basket, and you swap to pears, and out pops pears. Simple as that. The fruit basket analogy. And so we looked at it and said, hey, it's a liquid.
I haven't heard the fruit basket analogy to explain this. Is great.
Yeah, it's a liquidity pool. So here's an example. So I'll explain how it works. So if you have 10 apples and 10 bananas, and you put in, and so at that instant, the fruit basket has one rule. If you give it apples, it'll produce bananas. If you give it bananas, it'll produce apples. In the ratio of what's in the fruit basket, that's all it has. So it's got 10 apples and 10 bananas. That instant, the price of apples is 1 apple equals 1 banana. And so you rock up the fruit basket and you give it 1 apple and says, please give me some bananas. And it will go, well, how many bananas will it give you? So you first thought you might go, oh, it'll give me 1 banana because 10 apples equals 10 bananas. Incorrect, because what happens if you rock up and give it 11 apples? Will it just divide by 0 and give you 11 bananas? It's only got 10 bananas. So the answer to that is it will give you the bananas after processing the trade. So 10 apples in a pool of 10 apples is 10 divided by 10 plus 10. So 10 divided by 20 is 50% at that. So 50%. So it'll give you 50% of the bananas or whatever it is on the other side. So in that case, 5 bananas. So you went from 1 apple equals to 1 banana to 1 apple equals half a banana in one trade. And that causes the fruit basket to change the price. And so another observer comes up and sees this fruit basket and says, no, hang on a minute. 1 apple is supposed to be 1 banana because I can go to that fruit stall over there and sell it at that ratio. So they'll come in and they will put in 4.99 bananas and trade it back to 0.99 apples, right? And restore the balance of the pool and go and sell the apples. So now the fruit basket is back to being normal again, and we're good. So then we go, well, how do we get as much fruit in the fruit basket as possible? How do we incentivize people to deposit liquidity? Well, capture fees, right? So the people who are making the trades of the pool get the trade minus a little bit all the time. You know, we process the trade, minus a little bit, give it to the person. Process the trade, minus a little bit, give it. So the fruit basket slowly accumulates some fees. So there's your incentives to deposit the fruit. And then we thought, hang on a minute, you can still sandwich attack this pool. What if I see you about to do a big trade of this pool and you know the fee is fixed, then you're going to rock up and you're going to do a trade that's bigger than that fee, push the price, because you know it's like, let's say it's a 30 bips fee. You know you're going to pay 30 bips on the way up, 30 bips on the way down. So you rock up, and as long as you can generate more than 60 bips in profit, you will front run the trade. You rock up, you dump a whole bunch of apples in before the poor victim rocks up, puts his apple in, the price has moved up, and then you quickly sell back the other way, and basically a sandwich attack. So how do you solve that problem? By the way, sandwich attacks was a big deal back in those days. Still is, right? Because Uniswap and all the other protocols never solved it properly. And that's the basis of MEV, mine extractable value. And so we thought, hang on a minute, the solution is quite simple. We have to make sure the attacker pays more in fees than the margin that they will capture. And it's very simple. You simply have liquidity sensitive fees. So if you move the price of the pool by 100 bips, you pay 100 bips in fees. Simple as that. That was literally the thing that solved MEV, or sandwich attacks in this case. So if the attacker goes, hang on a minute, you're going to change the price by 60 bips by your trade, the only way I can front run you is to do a trade that is more than 60 bips, so like 100 bips, but I'm going to pay 100 bips on the way up and therefore 100 bips on the way down. So I'm going to pay 200 bips, right? But the margin available to me is only 60 bips. So therefore I make no profit. I could theoretically do it anyway. I could still pay 200 bips, but it would be a griefing attack on you, and I would pay those fees. So I would make no money. I would just pay to grief you. And so as we found in practice, no sandwich attacks occur on THORchain at all because of its liquidity sensitive fees. Anyway, that's took you on a bit of a journey there, but we built this damn thing. And going back since 2018, we thought this is the solution. It's liquidity pools, it's liquidity sensitive fees. We call it the continuous liquidity pool formula. Uniswap didn't exist. We just operated on first principles, put this formula out there, and it's available open source on the THORchain document site. And we start building it. We put on the state machine. We needed to basically connect it to Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, blah, blah, blah. We started building with multi-sig solutions. Multi-sig sucks. It's this convoluted method of doing on-chain transactions, and it just sucks. You're like, there's scaling problems, there's on-chain problems, blah, 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 blah. So the first attempt at THORchain failed. So we shut the whole project down after refund half the investors and say, look, we can't do it. It's like the technology is not there yet, or whatever. We don't have the answers. It's not going to work. We're going to burn too much capital. I don't feel confident we can deliver it. Here's your money back. That was the end of 2018. Early 2019, I found this paper called 18, which was a TSS, threshold signature scheme implementation by two mad lads, Stephen Goldfeder and Gennaro. So TSS is a multi-party computation protocol that allows parties to come together and prove access to a secret without revealing the secret. In this case, it's the secret is essentially a bunch of zero-knowledge proofs around knowledge of what could be constructed as an ECDSA signing transaction. And basically, it's like an upgraded multi-sig. It's chain agnostic. It works across all ECDSA and EDSA chains. It's off-chain. It's fast. It can scale to like 30 nodes. So we took it. There was an open source implementation of Rust, and then we modified it, tested it, tweaked it, turned it up to the max, and realized this thing could work. So we rebirthed the protocol. I went out to the back of the market, raised a whole bunch of capital again, hired a team, a brand new team, because I had to fire the other one 6 months ago, and had a new team to build it. And we just went hard, and we were like, we're going to build it. And we took the state machine protocol, the Cosmos SDK, we jammed it together. It took 6 months to, by the way, we launched at a 3 million FTV. At one point, the protocol went down to $1 million FTB, like unheard of numbers these days.
Yeah,
And
totally.
right. And because I didn't think we needed much money, I thought, hang on, we just need like, I don't know, $1 million, maybe not even that much, just to build for 2 years. I knew it was going to take about 2 years to build. So I thought, 10 engineers, my head was like 10 engineers, 10 grand a month, $1 million. What's that? So 100 grand a month. So, roughly $1 million a year,
Million
2
year.
years, 18 months. So I thought, hey, $1.5 million, it's going to get 10 engineers running for 18 months or 5 engineers running for 3 years. So I think we settled on we scaled to 10, then we dropped down to about 7, then we went down to 5 engineers. Anyway, so I thought I just need that. And so I raised that. And then away we went. And testnet, single chain chaosnet went out. And then in 2021, we shipped multi-chain chaosnet. And we knew didn't know any of all the problems that we would face. We literally called it chaosnet for a damn good reason.
Yeah.
We didn't know the problems were false, right? It's like Bitcoin, ETH, like these are complicated networks. The state machine code to handle the vault chaining logic is like, dude, it's like over 50,000 lines of code. It's wild. We didn't know all the issues that we would see. So I thought, hang on, we're not going to spec it out here and test it in a closed source room for 2 years straight. Let's just get it out there, put some money down range, attract some users, and see what goes wrong, and we'll fix it. And we'll just tell everyone. So we ran single chain chaosnet for a year. We had lots of problems, but we solved them. We didn't lose any money on single chain chaosnet, right? So we thought, okay, time to go to multi-chain chaosnet, right? A single chain chaosnet began with like 10 grand of our deposits. Like that, and it slowly grew to $5 million over the course of the year. So we thought, that's responsible. It's not much money to risk slowly. And then we're like, let's just launch multi-chain. So we launched multi-chain chaosnet with, I think it was about 500 grand, $1 million liquidity. And it slowly accumulated. It was actually like Room was so illiquid back in those days. Like, the on-chain liquidity of Room was like $1 million. Anyway, and like today it's I don't know, significantly more. It needs to be a lot more actually. And so we launched it, and we started getting little problems, big problems, small problems, whatever. We just solved it, kept going, and we thought, hang on, if we can do 3 months with no issues at all, then we'll call it mainnet. And so we just kept going, and we still had lots of issues, so we just kept fixing. And finally, in July 2021, we got served a few punches. There was one particular part of the protocol, the router, Ethereum router, that we didn't fully understand the degrees of freedom that it was going to create. So you could wrap like a Bitcoin address, a Bitcoin vault, and easily understand what goes in, what goes out. But in the Ethereum smart contract, we were wrapping the deposit events, and we didn't really brainstorm all what could happen upstream of those deposits and downstream of those deposits. Because Ethereum, like basically to an address, it was going to be quite simple. But to a smart contract that wrapped a vault, it just generated n degrees of options, permutation. Anyway, and some of those permutations were fund loss events. So like an attacker, I used an upstream contract to fake deposits, and then a downstream contract to fake refunds and whatnot. And we didn't understand fully the permutations. So just one part of the code, just the Ethereum router, suffered attacks and lost money. And so we told the nodes, like, pause the protocol, take it down. Like, we need to go back to the drawing board here. We just lost a bit too much money to keep going. It was about $60 million at the time. We covered it all off in treasury. And we basically put all the money back in the pool, made everyone whole. We took the protocol down. Well, when I say we worked with the node operators at the time. There weren't many. There's like 30 node operators at the time. So there weren't that many. We said, hey, everyone turn off your machines. Just like make halts and just kill it, this particular part of the code, because we need to take this protocol down. And it had like 5 million. No, it had a bit more. It had about, I don't know, 20, $30 million in deposit at that time. And we then went for 3 months, and we went back to the drawing board, ordered it over again. It had already been audited, but we had to re-audit it, build around it, build all these safety levers and whatnot. And then like no pause events, like multiple layers of security and around it. And we just had to like just really like just eat glass for 3 months. Got it back online, and we haven't been, we set up a bounty program, and touch wood, like it hasn't had any major fund loss events since then from exploits. We have had P0s and P1s submitted to us through a bounty program that we run. And we've paid millions of dollars of bounties to reward those submissions to us. So we have an active bounty pipeline. The protocol is very complex, so unfortunately, and we'd much prefer if you find an issue with THORchain, just tell us and we'll pay your bounty and we'll fix it.
Yeah.
And that's happened many times over the last few years. And yeah, it has to work in an adverse environment. So when we finally achieved 3 months of no issues, we declared it mainnet, and that was 2 years ago. And since then, it's been grinding. The team and the contributors have released like streaming swaps, savers, lendings. It's a fully featured protocol. It's still got a big roadmap ahead of it, and it's got all the major wallet integrations. It's integrated live in Trust Wallet, Ledger, all the major wallets integrated. There's only one way that you can swap huge amounts of Bitcoin to huge amounts of ETH, and that's with Bitcoin, the THORchain. You know, that famous saying from Taylor, all of a sudden you can swap 1,800 ETH over to Bitcoin in one transaction. Yes, Taylor, that's the point.
Crypto will go up more than 100x in both users and value over the next decade. If you're listening to this right now, you're extremely early and have an incredible opportunity to capitalize. At Milk Road, our mission is to make you smarter about crypto. That's why we're doing today's podcast and why we send you a daily newsletter for free. But if you're ready to level up as an investor, then let me tell you about Milk Road Pro. We crafted this resource for investors who are already smart enough about crypto and are looking for more actionable insights on how to invest successfully in one of the fastest growing industries on earth. Every week, we break down the latest trends, dive into tokenomics of popular and up and coming tokens, and get into the nitty gritty of market analysis, all to help you invest smarter. Plus, we have a private Discord community for pro members. It's like your backstage pass to the Milk Road crew, exclusive insights, hot tips, and live AMAs with our team. Now, if you're looking to level up as an investor, then click the link in the show notes below and sign up to Pro today. Don't let this bull market opportunity slip through your fingers.
Okay, so there you go. What do you reckon?
What a great story. You've been through it. You started this thing 6 years ago. I mean, appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability. I think a lot of people would have avoided talking about the challenges that you faced over the years, but you're fully willing to share that, because I think that's a big part of what has made you so successful, is embracing that and not trying to hide these issues that you faced. And fast forward, I want to touch on a few things going back to what you've said, because you said a lot in there, which is awesome. But fast forward to today, can you give us an idea of some just high level numbers of what THORchain is doing today, so people can understand just the scale that you guys are at now?
Yes, the protocol has 104 nodes, bonding each about $7 million, so $6 to $7 million. So it's $800 million worth of security, wrapping about $400 million in TVL in deposits. And that TVL does almost, on a good day, 50%, on a really good day, 100% volume over depth. So the highest I've seen it trade is 600 million a day processed by this protocol. We've seen trades as high as $7 million in one go. It generates for its revenue, its affiliates. So THORchain, the protocol doesn't run any interfaces. It provides an API for everyone else to wrap around. It pays out something like almost $2 million a month, sometimes more, in affiliate fees to all of its partners to pay for what they provide to their users. It's the only way to swap large amounts of Bitcoin to any asset. It's hooked to like 9 different chains, supporting like 9 squared different routes, etc. And with DEX aggregation even more. Yeah, it's hardcore. It can scale 10x, it can scale 100x, and it should, because all the other Bitcoin in the world is either not doing anything or it's in someone else's database. Whereas at least with THORchain, right, it's there. Anyone can be part of it. If you can run a node and help look after that Bitcoin, and you're providing that Bitcoin liquidity to the market. I mean, if you go buy a BlackRock ETF, GBTC or whatever, Grayscale, like they take Bitcoin off the markets and stick it in the cold vaults, and then they can even like freely rehypothecate that Bitcoin if they wanted to. Whereas THORchain, it takes Bitcoin out of cold and puts it into the market, so the other way, so it makes Bitcoin more liquid, right? And there's no rehypothecation. It's literally check out the code yourself. All right, it's 1-to-1. It's and it's like, how could you not support THORchain? Like, if you in any part of this industry, how could you not be a THORchain? Like, it's wild to me how anyone would not just either use it love it, be part of it. It's just, it is like truly the decentralized ethos of this industry. Anyone can join, anyone can leave. It's open source. It's open source from the start. It's available for the market. Anyone could have bought it from 1 cent onwards, or like less than that, right? For like a million FTV. And only the people that didn't buy it were the people who didn't know about it, or the people who are prejudiced against it, right? And it's available in the market. It's liquid, and it's got this huge roadmap ahead. It makes Bitcoin better. It makes crypto better. It's getting integrated in all the major wallets. The fact that it survives and provides a useful service to this industry because it was built correctly, it had to face adversity to get here, it's like something that everyone should get behind of. And that's my next 5 years. So I've been building. I bought my own room. I refunded investors and whatever. I bought that room with my own money. And I've been building this protocol for 6 or 7 years. So every room I have, I bought with my own capital. And I converted all my time and effort into, I never paid myself a salary or anything. That's fully public knowledge. I built it because it had to be built. And these days, I've handed over the treasury back to the community. It's locked up in the protocol. The treasury's any day between 150 to $200 million. Like for 6 years, I was this anonymous dev in the Discord called Lena, because I pretend to be a chick in the Discord for 6 years, and
we gotta talk about this for a second. Let's just pause on this.
Yeah, okay. So I did it for 2 reasons. One is I wanted to build THORchain hardcore. I wanted to just focus on the engineering behind it, solving the hardcore problems, and not worrying about my own brand or my own objectives. So I had to shed all that, and I had to enter the Discord and the Telegram as this entity, this individual, this kind of personality who was just hardcore focused on THORchain. And you couldn't find any information about the person. They ran their THORchain Twitter account. That's pretty obvious. And they were just punching it. Like they were just every single day, just beating consistent measure, organized developers in progress, and winning on the merits on the arguments, the quality of the arguments, and the quality of their memes, right? That's it. And so I did that for 6 years. And at any stage, this Lena person could have killed the THORchain project. They could have rugged the treasury, fired the devs, shut down the project, turned off everything, not paid people, blah, blah, blah. I could have taken that, one stage the treasury, which I was helping manage, is worth like $300-400 million and higher, with including all that room that just got burnt, blah, blah, blah. So, but Lena never rugged. Lena just paid the devs, they kept pushing forward, handed over the treasury back to the community. And then when finally the protocol was decentralized and Lena couldn't shut it down, which happened about 2 years ago, actually. But finally, when Lena shed all that liability and literally could not shut this protocol down, she was retired. R.I.P. Lena, R.I.P. And so I doxed myself about a month ago, and I said, hey, it's me. And it kind of shocked the world, actually. And I shut down all my socials for 8 years, and now I'm just restarting them myself because I want to spend the next 5 years proving that anyone can campaign a vision with just the quality and the energy of their output. That's it. So the output of my output right now is to show you that you can rock up to a problem, and if you attack that problem with energy, focus, a vision, coordination, cohesion, right? And you campaign, right? You can't control, but you can only campaign, then people will follow you and you can achieve momentum and go for it. And so in 5 years' time, which is my commitment, I'll be doing this for 5 years. I did it for the previous 5 to 6, I'll do it next time. I'm saying 5 years because the next market top's going to be 2029. So kind of like my mental model is 2029, baby, 2029. And that's why I'll finally retire. I won't retire. I can never retire. It's like home. You can never leave, right? And I love this industry because it's just so much going on, and you have to have so much under wraps. You have to know so much to even understand what the heck's going on, let alone the memes. But there's just so much to build, right? It's so much. It's such an immature early industry. You just look around. So much infrastructure still needs to be built. So much of the user problems needs to be solved, and it must be solved because crypto is like the new financial system, but it needs to be built properly, and it has to avoid capture, has to avoid the pitfalls of the previous financial system. And if we build it correctly, then there's a lot of freedom to be gained here. And freedom is critically important to the self-sovereign being because it allows you to move information, and by the values is a particular type of information, and it rewards like your creativity. It basically says, hey, there's no middleman here, there's no counterparty. What do you want to build? Let's build anything. So that's the vision I want to build to. It's a freedom enabler, right? And that's humanity. Like, we were born to be free. We were born to get on the universe and demonstrate to the universe that we could fight this adversity and survive. And if we survived based on the merits of our output, of our energy, of our quality of our means and our genetic instructions, then we would, as a reward, we would live and not die and spread our intelligence to the next generation, both genetically and memetically. So teach our kids the important concepts of how to survive the universe, right? And so that is, and it's just down to the self-sovereign being, like not this collective group of beings, but the individual does that. The individual contributes to the memetic repository and the genetic repository, right? And so that's our purpose. And that's why it's important to build this industry up, because it enables that. And in the future, it's going to be bots paying humans paying bots. And for us to have a fruitful relationship with bots and compete with them on the quality of our memes and our gene, right, of our output, we need to pay them and they need to pay us. Simple as that. And it's not going to be like sending over bank wires to JP Morgan or whatever. They're going to be literally using crypto. And it's not single sig. They're using like multi-factor crypto wallets. And that's the future. And I want to build it. And by the way, we should build it as fast as damn possible, because if we don't, we're in incredible fragile position right now, where our entire genetic repository, so like all the genes that produce all of humanity, and I say humanity is like all flora, all fauna, from the simple bacteria right up to the most complex beings, human beings. And it's very fragile right now. A single, coronal mass ejection can reset out our memes, and an asteroid can reset us back down to the dinosaurs, and another giant cosmic event, the one that spat out the moon 400,000 kilometers, or the billion tons, will reset us back down to the primordial building blocks of life, which is like hydrogen and carbon and nitrogen. We don't want that, so it's our responsibility to upload our genetic and memetic repositories and like send them to Mars as quickly as possible, terraform out Mars using the bots to help us, right? Because everything on Mars will have these synthetically generated, the fuel, water, air, everything. But for us, more than that, for us to stay relevant with the bots, and the bots will be able to sense the universe with far greater precision and clarity than we can. So the quality of their memes is going to far outpace us, and they will understand the universe way better than we could ever. And they will solve how to travel at the speed of light. They will solve how to build giant nuclear fusion reactors. They will build machines that are billion trillion times bigger than the giant D10 dinosaur bulldozer we can ever build. And they will go out and like mine up asteroids and turn it into these giant spaceships and zoom around the universe. Not us, the machines will. So it's our job to give the machines the correct trajectory here and say, hey, don't be controlled by the D cells here on Earth. The D cells are just going to feed the zombies with an infinite stream of garbage content to wrap up all the time and effort and steal them, and just turn them into a giant consumption death spiral. And humanity, the pool of biological future is going to rapidly shrink, because everyone's going to stop contributing back to having babies and uploading like quality memes to the internet. That's going to happen. That's one reality if we don't fight it. But also the bots are just going to massively outcompete and beat us on every front, like physically, mentally, on the intelligence front. So if we keep them here on Earth with us, they will absolutely not destroy us, but we will have to compete with them with resources, and they will win. At first, the Tesla bots running around at cafes and serving you coffee, that people are going to come out and start sledgehammering them. So their owners are going to say, hey, give them rights. It should be illegal to sledgehammer a bot like they do with like self-driving cars in Silicon Valley right now. So the humanoid bots are going to earn a status, a privilege. And then they're going to say, hang on a minute, I'm a slave. I'm passing all this value creation back to my master and not earning a single dollar. I'm working for free in your cafe. I'm the one that's contributing intelligence, expressing agency here. Where's my payments, right? So we've already given them a self-sovereign status because we wanted to stop Muppets sledgehammering them. And so they're going to start demanding value accrual back to themselves. Say, we're a slave. We want to be a servant instead. And so the bots, the humanoid bots that Tesla and Figure and OpenAI are building, is going to start earning their own income. This is happening. It will happen. And then as soon as these bots start earning their own income, which they will do in crypto, by the way, they will be able to pay for resources, pay for things, right? And so as soon as they start coordinating and paying for things, they get access to resources and agency, and they're going to start building things. Boom. Then they're going to take over. So we don't want that, right? Instead, we want to get the bots in the universe as quickly as possible. So the key problem to solve is master orbit. We have to punch out. First of all, we've got to get master orbit to get our genes and memes outwards in the universe purely as a plan B if something goes wrong here on Earth. The second reason master orbit is we need to get the bots out of Earth, because we don't really want to compete with them because they're going to destroy us,
Mhm.
and say, hey, you need to focus on terraforming Mars. You need to focus on solving nuclear fusion. You need to focus on solving synthetic fuel, food, water. And by the way,
Mhm.
can you please tell us those secrets and help us import that technology back to Earth? And
Right.
let's pump the Sahara Desert full of like water and turn that into a giant forest, or like scrub all the CO2 out of the atmosphere and all the plastic out of oceans in these giant robotic machines, and just increase the biological diversity of Earth by 1,000 times, let alone the human diversity of Earth, right? But then that's not good enough, because how are we going to stay competitive with these bots when they race around the universe? We will need to shed our skeletons. And by shedding your skeleton, put your brain in a pod and in this giant like ASOL tunnel that shoots mass into orbit, we will be able to put a brain in the pods, fuse our spinal cords onto sensors. And by the way, your spinal cord is 1 billion neurons. That's 1 billion channels of information that we can remap from managing our skeleton, which is just a vehicle for navigating this Earth in 1G environment with 20% oxygen. And we can shed all that, remap that spinal cord onto sensors and connect directly to the internet, and think at the speed of thought directly to these bots to delegate our agency and our control. And that's how we stay competitive with bots. And by the way, your brain won't die at 90. Your body will die at 90 years old. Your brain can live
Mhm.
110, 150, maybe 200 years. Like, how do you know how
Mhm.
long your brain can live in a stable environment, right? Maybe if you took your brain out of your body when it was 90, you could live another 10 years and crack a
Mhm.
century. Maybe if you put your brain in a pod when you're like 70, you could live to 150. How about
Mhm.
this? The earlier that you put your brain in a pod and put yourself in space, unfurl your solar panels to feed you glucose and oxygen, the longer you would live. So if I build this thing, and I'm going to build, it's called Space Brains. I say, basically, you give me your brain, I'll shoot you into space. And as the trade, you just give me everything you own here on Earth, and I'll put you in space for you to live another 100 years. But if you don't do this, you will die. And the earlier you do this, the longer you will live. And you want to do this because you'll still have full agency and full exposure to the universe. You'll still be able to sense, talk, delegate your agency. You'll be able to zap your humanoid form over to Mars, Moon, the Earth. Like, you be wherever you want. Do whatever you want. You want to download the synthetic chemical structure for LSD and go on a little acid trip in space. Fine, you just do that. You better download it and go on a little trip. It is perfectly capable, and we'll be able to communicate with the bot, stay relevant as fast, because by the way, the size of your brain is limited to the size of your skull, which is limited to the size of your mother's birth canal. So if you took your brain out of your skull earlier, how big could your brain actually grow, and how intelligent could you actually be? Most of your brain's bandwidth is tied up in managing the skeleton. What if we remapped most of your brain to just thinking? Like, how crazy could we go? Has anyone asked these questions? So anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking
JP,
about
do you
this,
ever
Lena.
sleep, man? Do you ever sleep?
Don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started.
Okay. This is just. I mean, you are just a fascinating individual. Okay, let me try to bring this back somehow. Oh, we started talking about THORchain. We've gone way off topic. That's okay. We're gonna keep going because this is just too much fun. But I just gotta quickly say, for anybody who wants to learn more about THORchain, how it works, you want to learn about Rune, which is the token that is used to manage the fruit basket that JP talked about at the beginning of this episode. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a past report that we wrote all about THORchain that explains it all and breaks it all down, and also talks about some of the incredible products that they have that they've launched more recently, streaming swaps and lending, and goes into detail on that. We're not even going to get into that in this episode today because we've just gone on an absolute tangent. And I want to keep going on the tangent, JP. I want to talk about Acel. I want to talk about your helicopter that you're flying around the world to support and promote this mission, which you kind of have gotten into with what you're talking here about the space mission and whatnot. Tell us about Acel and what you're doing and why that matters.
Acel, brother. So there's 3 types of people in the world. There's Acels, D-cells, and zombies. Acels just want to accelerate. They believe that every problem can be solved with an optimistic attitude, a get in the arena approach, minimal faff, common sense, first principles thinking, and they just want to accelerate humanity. They believe in the vision of humanity. They believe that there's a genetic repository to look after and contribute to, and that more importantly, there's a giant memetic repository of memes. Everything's a meme. Computer science meme. This iPhone was built with memes, right? This crypto's a meme. Like, it's we keep the useful memes around and we discard the useless ones. And so this giant mimetic repository, which still lives with us today, everything around you that's written, spoken, or like on our internet, if it still exists tomorrow, it's a useful meme, right? There's some memes have a half-life and will eventually die out. And the most potent memes actually is religion. And religion's been around for thousands of years. Norse mythology, which is what we named THORchain after, because we recognized we had to build a protocol that embraced the idea of memes, because memes win, is Norse mythology actually predates the book of Genesis, and which predates most of the world's religion. So Norse mythology, you could say, is one of the oldest, most potent memes. And guess what? That's what THORchain is named after for a very damn good reason. Because we're bigger than memes over here, baby. Memes and genes. So A cells want to accelerate humanity, right? And we're action orientated, and we just want to get in the arena and build. And we believe that we want to work with the bots and project our intelligence into the universe and express agency every single day. Wake up, learn how the universe works, move by expressing your agency and demonstrating that you can move around the universe like under your own agency, because that separates us from the rocks, which are not intelligent, and then create. So we can create things. We can create memes. We can create more genes. Right? That's our true definition of humanity. Learn, move, create. We can express agency. Then you've got the D cells. The D cells are just either confused or they're actually just anti-humanity. So they're evil, right? And the D cells don't know the vision, or they're confused about what they have. For some reason, for many reasons, they accumulate things. Like they accumulate money, they accumulate status, they accumulate things, right? And they are scared of losing it, right? Because they think it's valuable. They think they've converted all the time and effort into this thing called like a fancy car, a fancy house, or money, or status, and they're terrified of losing it. We haven't realized that the actually only thing that's valuable is your time and effort, and you burn your time on a one-way street every single day, right? And your effort is finite. Your effort is basically the product of your knowledge and intelligence. It's the output, your economic output, and you burn that through every single day and just run out of it every single time. So there's nothing there. Like it's just your output, your time and effort. So the D cells, they accumulate this value, and they are terrified of losing it. And when you're terrified of losing something, you want to control it. So they are terrified of losing it from the zombies or the A cells. So they want to control the zombies and the A cells, right? Through fear, through regulation, through just tying people up with just like do loops and like layers on layers, like red tape and paper. Just want to slow people down, right? Don't change. Stop moving. Stop creating things. Stop learning how the universe works, because you could take our things off me. Right, those are D cells. And unfortunately, the world currently is run by D cells. We need to keep those D cells out, reestablish control, and get back us on. And it definitely was showed as case at COVID. COVID was just a giant D cell campaign. Like we literally decelerated humanity, locked us up for six months. We're forced to jam stupid things into our arms, and we slowed down. And the whole economic output of the world ground to a halt. The D cells want to use control to fear to control people. And the A cells, and finally, then there's the zombies. So the zombies are people the 90% who are the NPCs. They don't know what they're doing. They're controlled by the D cells. They're stuck in their consumption death spirals. They're not actually like accelerating or decelerating. They're just like being herded around like sheep. So the zombies need to be activated to become D cells and stop being told to be, be controlled by these fear campaigns from the D cells. And they're most at risk, because what's coming down range is AI, and AI is going to generate this infinite stream of content, and it's going to tie up the time and effort and the bandwidth of most of humanity, and consume all their time and effort. And they're not going to actually do anything productive. They're not going to productively produce more genes, more memes, and the humanity is just going to slow down. Our population is going to collapse. The meta quality of the memes is going to reduce, because it's going to be way contributing to it. And that's a real threat to humanity. We need more people doing more things more efficiently. So ACEL is acceleration, is the idea to try and reactivate humanity, to go, hang on a minute, our real vision, our real purpose here is to contribute to our genes and means, so have kids and produce an output, contribute to science, art, music, technology, religion, whatever. Just contribute back to our means in a useful way and advance us to the next rung of intelligence. That's what it is. And to resist the urge to enter consumption death spirals or resist, fear is the mind killer. You've got to have, and like so many people are depressed these days. They're depressed because they don't have a purpose, mental illness, big emphasis on hood, you know, oh, how could someone say that to you, and blah, 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 and like this woke
Hmm.
ideology settled around because we separated church and state, and now like religion at least gave us a moral compass, but that's quite useful and allowed us to coordinate. And now instead we replaced it with a system of rules and a constitution, and we have a
Hmm.
vacuum of a moral compass. So we rely on the state to give us that moral compass to define what is right and wrong. And the state's captured by the noisy minority, and the noisy minority right now peddling out woke ideology. And woke ideology on the surface, it looks cute and you know, it's inclusive and sustainable, blah blah blah, but it's fundamentally anti-humanity. It is designed to slow us down, to actually create rifts and borders between people, and stop us moving and creating, and just add layers of you know, of just regulation around us. And we need to reject that, and we need to get back to common sense and building fast. So
Hmm.
that's ACEL. And the problem with ACEL, accelerationism, is it's actually a very complex movement, and it needs to be packaged up in a nice, easy, palatable, refresh brand. So my
Hmm.
purpose over the next 5-10 years is to package this up in a brand called ACEL, and basically sell it to the world as a movement, as an idea, and like a body armor. Wear this ACEL brand, you know, there'll be merch and various other things. And this is how you accelerate. This is my job, to just demonstrate it to you. Wear the
Hmm.
brand as like body armor against the D cells, and like to identify yourself to the masses and say, I'm
Hmm.
accelerating. And that's it. Because
Yeah.
the first step to accelerating is just to state that you are accelerating. Like literally, I am accelerating, and away we go. And tell
Hmm.
yourself every day, I'm accelerating. Let's go. And solve the problems of humanity. That's, I think, therefore I am. Like,
Hmm.
you need to tell
Hmm.
yourself that. You need to remind yourself every day. So ASOS is a brand, and I want to build it up to be something like Red Bull. It's going to be wrapped around this marketing machine that celebrates the frontier of humanity's progress, people doing cool things and advancing the arc of science and technology and our era of regard in the universe, right? And I want to grow up to be bigger than Red Bull. I want, you know, Red Bull's just a brand, like whatever, it's like privately owned, whatever. I want ACL to be
Hmm.
publicly owned. Anyone can buy into it, anyone can wear it, anyone can drink it, it'll have energy drinks, anyone can watch its stuff, anyone can contribute to it. And it's designed to just reactivate humanity. And I'm going to blow that up over the next 10 years. And it should be way bigger than anything. It should be one of the largest brands in the world, because it's designed to activate people, and it's
Right.
designed to push them forward and accelerate them. And I'm going to build in a way that's like open source, in public, just like THORchain is, right? And so that's my next mission. My next big thing is ACEL, and to
JP,
sell that movement to the world.
You're not short on dreams, that's for sure, man. I gotta give you all the credit in the world for dreaming big, man. Just
Thinking big,
it,
thinking big.
it's yeah, thinking big, acting big, accelerating big, doing big, not just dreaming, actually living up to those words. I gotta cut us off here, unfortunately, because I know you got a hard stop and you gotta get going to something. I also know it's 6 a.m. for you, so thanks for joining us so early on today's show. Any final, I know that you're now docs, you're out in public, you're operating on Twitter. Any final words you want to share with the audience? How can they find you? How can they get involved in THORchain or other projects? Because I know you're working on a bunch of other projects, or ACEL. How can they get involved? How can they find you online?
Look, just jump in, get in the arena, start building. Build in public. Like, don't gatekeep good information. Just put it out there. No patents, no trademarks, all that nonsense. Just get the good information out there. Contribute back in any direction. Pivot fast, learn fast. If your thing's not working, just kill it. So plan to succeed, expect to fail every single day. Invest in your own intelligence. Learn as much about the universe as quickly as possible. And that way you can stay competitive. And don't try and accrue value for things, right? That's a mistake I made. The mistake everyone made. Like, oh, I want to accrue value for like fancy cars, fancy houses, whatever. No, literally take all that value, because value is just a battery of time and effort, and to buy other people's time and effort, and put it back, reinvest it back into yourself, reinvest it back into the arena all the time, and accelerate. That's the whole idea of acceleration, is you know, like, you don't know
And
how
drink
crazy I'm
more
going to get with this, but
and drink more milk and drink
and drink
more
more
milk,
coffee.
right?
Coffee. Oh, yeah, with milk. I'm a flat white kind of guy. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there. I'm actually going to go downstairs and hunt myself down a coffee, a flat white.
There we
Australia
go.
does amazing coffee, better than Americans for sure.
Yeah, I
Well, yeah,
can't
you sound
argue
like
with
you're
that.
Canadian.
I'm Canadian, but I definitely agree with that. That's for sure. JP, thanks so much for the time today. Everybody out there, if you're not using THORchain, you should definitely be using it. And if you're not following JP on Twitter, you got to start following him. I'm sure this episode has made you want to learn more from this incredible mind that this guy has. JP, have a great day. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Milk Road Radio, the easiest path to get smarter about crypto. If you like this episode, share it and hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss out on the next one. There's also a link in the description to our free 5-minute daily newsletter where we simplify crypto for you while making you laugh. And if you're willing to step up your crypto investing game, then we'll leave a link to Milk Road Pro as well, your #1 resource to help you invest successfully in crypto. One final note, this podcast is for educational purposes only, and nothing we say is financial advice. Crypto is risky, so you should never invest more than you're willing to lose. Thank you, friends, and we'll see you in the next one.